Good morning, everybody. I'm Abdul Shamim, Assistant Professor of English at Renuka College, based in Nagpur. Today, we are going to see the lesson The Trumpet Club, written by Richard Steele, which has been prescribed in the syllabus of BA Second Year English Literature in third semester. After having applied my mind with more than ordinary attention to my studies, it is my usual custom to relax and unbend it in the conversation of such as are rather easy than shining companions. This I find particularly necessary for me because I retire to rest in order to draw my slumbers upon me by degrees and fall asleep insensibly. Here the writer tells us about that it has been his daily routine that before going to bed he just he just lies on the bed and starts thinking about all those people who are very honest but not so interesting. He starts thinking about them. That helps them to go to sleep peacefully. That is his daily routine. राइटर कहता है कि ये मेरा रोजाना का रूटीन था कि मैं सोने से पहले जैसे बिस्तर पर लेटता तो मैं अपने सारे दोस्तों को जो काफ़ी दिलचस्प है, काफ़ी दोस्त अपने दोस्तों को याद करता, वो दोस्तों को जो काफ़ी बेचारे ऑनेस्ट है, ईमानदार है, भले उतने दिलचस्प नहीं है, उनको मैं याद करता। इससे मुझे मदद होती सोने के लिए। इससे मुझे नींद काफ़ी आसानी से धीरे-धीरे मुझे नींद आ जाती है और बड़ी सुकून भरी नींद आती है। This is the particular use I make of a set of heavy honest men with whom I have passed many hours with much indolence, though not with great pleasure. Their conversation is a kind of a preparative for sleep. It takes the mind down from its abstractions, leads it into the familiar traces of thought, and lulls it into the state of tranquility, which is the condition of a thinking man. When he is but half awake, so he tells that he thinks about those those men who are very honest to him, and he uses, and daily he spends 3 to 4 hours regularly in their company, and he thinks in order to recall about those people he find that he finds peaceful sleep. That is a kind of a preparation in order to go to bed and to get a peaceful sleep. राइटर कहता था ये मेरा रोजमर्रा का इस तरीके का मेरा रूटीन ही था। मैं सोने जाने से पहले जिन लोगों के साथ मैं रोजाना 3 से 4 घंटे बिताता था, अपने जिंदगी के अहम पल बिताया, उनके बारे में मैं सोचता था पढ़ाई के अलावा। इससे मुझे ये फायदा होता, मुझे नींद बड़ी सुकून भरी नींद आती और मैं बड़े इत्मीनान से सोता। After this, my reader will not be surprised to hear the account which I am about to give of a club of my own contemporaries, among whom I pass 2 or 3 hours every evening. This I look upon as taking my first nap before I go to bed. Then he says that his readers is not going to get any kind of surprise, that it is a kind of preparation for him to go to bed. And he thinks about those people in their company. He daily spends 3 to 4 hours. वो कहता है कि ये बताना मेरे रीडर को बहुत ज़रूरी होगा कि ये कौन लोग हैं, किनके बारे में बताना चाह रहा हूँ। ये लोग वो लोग हैं जिनके साथ मैं अपनी ज़िंदगी के रोज़ाना 3 से 4 घंटे बिताता हूँ, और ये मेरे साथीदार हैं, जिन्हें मैं जिसे मैं सोने से पहले याद करता हूँ। इसके बाद मैं छोटी सी नींद लेता हूँ, और फिर और गहरी नींद मुझे अच्छे तरीके से आ जाती है इनके बारे में सोचते-सोचते। The truth of it is, I should think myself unjust to posterity as well as to the society, at the trumpet of which I am a member did not, in some part of my writings, give an account of the persons whom I have passed almost a sixth part of my time for these last 40 years. And those are the members of his trumpet club. And he thinks that he is not going to discharge. He thinks if he is not going to give information about those people in whose company he has spent 1/6 part of his life for the last 40 years. For the last 40 years, daily he spends 3 to 4 hours in their company, and he thinks it is injustice to the members of the trumpet club, particularly to the people of the future generation who are going to make themselves associated with the trumpet club. So they want to know about their ancestors. So he thinks that he is going to write the account for them, and they will come to know about the people who were associated with the trumpet club. That is why he gives the account of his friends for the sake of the posterity, for the people of future generation. वो कहता है कि बहुत ही नाइंसाफ़ी होगी, मैं ट्रम्पेट क्लब का मेंबर हूँ, और जिनके बारे में मैं सोच रहा हूँ, अगर मैं उनके बारे में नहीं बताऊँगा, तो ये उस ट्रम्पेट क्लब के साथ और उसके साथ-साथ आने वाली जनरेशन के लिए भी ये नाइंसाफ़ी होंगी। क्योंकि जिनके साथ मैंने अपनी ज़िंदगी के रोज़ाना पिछले 40 सालों से 3 से 4 घंटे बिता रहा हूँ, अगर उनके बारे में ना बताऊँ, तो ये बहुत बड़ी नाइंसाफ़ी होंगी। Our club consisted originally of 15, but partly by the severity of the law in arbitrary times and partly by the natural effects of old age, we are at present reduced to a third part of the number, in which, however, we have this consolation that the best company is said to consist of 5 persons. He says that at the beginning there were 15 members in his club, but due to strict law, it reduced to 5. And he says 5 is the best company. And some of the members, due to their old age, they left the club because either of their old age, of their senility, or due to, or some of them must have passed away. राइटर कहता है कि उस क्लब के पहले जो मेंबर थे 15 थे, लेकिन धीरे धीरे उम्र के कारण हो सकता है कई लोग बीमार हो गए होंगे, बीमार होने के बाद कई लोग दुनिया से जा भी चुके होंगे, या कानूनी सख्ती के कारण वो नंबर कम होते हुए 5 पे आ गया, और 5 आपको मालूम बहुत ही बेस्ट नंबर होता है. I must confess, besides the aforementioned benefit which I meet with in the conversation of this select society, I am not the least pleased with the company, in that I find myself the greatest wit among them, and am heard as their oracle in all points of learning and difficulty. He admits very candidly that he has derived many benefits in the company of the Trumpet Club, and he has been regarded as the great scholar in that company, and he enjoys that company, and it pleases him that he has been considered as the wisest person, oracle, means a wise person. That is why he enjoys that company, and he has been regarded as the oracle, as the wise person in that company, as the most intelligent person in the company, the most intellectual. That is why it pleases him. राइटर कहता है कि मैं आपको बता दूं कि जिस कंपनी में, ट्रम्पेट क्लब की जो कंपनी में, मुझे बड़ा ही मजा आता था, और यहाँ के जो मेंबर्स थे वो मुझे बहुत ही इज्जत देते थे, बड़ी बड़ी इज्जत से मुझे देखते थे, बड़ी इज्जत इज्जत मुझे दिया करते थे, और वो मुझे बहुत ही बड़ा स्कॉलर ओरेकल समझते थे, बहुत ही अक्लमंद इंसान समझते थे, जो बहुत स्कॉलर है, हर चीज़ में मुझे, हर दुनियादारी वाली चीज़ों में सलाह दे सकता है. ओरेकल मीन्स अ वाइस पर्सन. Sir Geoffrey Notch, who is the oldest of the club, has been in possession of the right-hand chair time out of mind, and is the only man among us that has the liberty of stirring the fire. The writer gives the description about the first member of the trumpet club, that is Sir Geoffrey Notch, who is the eldest member in the club, and he keeps the right hand chair from the time nobody knows about the time, and he has only got the privilege to stir the fire. राइटर बताते हैं सबसे पहले मेंबर के बारे में ट्रम्पेट क्लब के, जिनका नाम है सर जॉफरी नॉच. तो उस क्लब के मेंबर सबसे ज़्यादा बड़े थे, और किसी को मालूम नहीं था कि वो राइट हैंड चेयर में कब से बैठते थे. जब से लोगों को याद है, जब से उनको देखते वो वहीं बैठे हुए देखते, और उन्हीं को ये सर्फ हासिल था कि वही जो फायर होती थी वही उसको स्टर करते थे उसके अंदर, वो इसे टेंडर करते थे, बाकी किसी को हक नहीं था कि वो फायर को टेंडर कर सके. Thus, a foreman is a gentleman of an ancient family that came to a greatest state some years before he had discretion, and run it out in hounds, horses, and cock fighting, for which reason he looks upon himself as an honest, worthy gentleman who has had misfortunes in the world, and calls every thriving man a pitiful upstart. And Sir Geoffrey Notch is not only the eldest member of the society, but also the president of the trumpet club, and he has only got the privilege to stir the fire. And he comes from the ancient family, and he has been bequeathed a lot of property from his forefathers, but he has lost all his wealth and money in betting of horses, cockfighting. That is why now he has come into a very miserable condition. So whenever he sees any young gentleman, he says that he remarks that person is a pitiful upstart. उसके बाद राइटर बताते हैं कि जो हमारे जेफरी नॉच थे, ये हमारे प्रेसिडेंट भी थे, और ये बड़े ही अपने बहुत अमीर घराने से आते थे, और इन्हें काफ़ी जायदाद भी अपने घराने से मिली थी, लेकिन इनके शौक के कारण ये काफ़ी अपने पैसे से बर्बाद हो चुके थे. इन्हें शौक था घोड़ों के ऊपर पैसा लगाना, मुर्गों के ऊपर शर्त लगाना, इसके कारण ये बर्बाद हो चुके थे. लेकिन जब भी किसी नौजवान को नया अमीर को देखते तो कहते, हाँ, ये तो अभी भी अमीर बना है. Major Matchlock is the next senior, who served in the last civil wars and has the battles by heart. He does not think any action in Europe worth talking of since the fight of Marston Moor, and every night tells of having been knocked off his horse at the rising of the London apprentices in 1647, for which he is in great esteem among us. Now the writer tells us about the second member of the trumpet club, that is Major Matchlock, and he has served in the civil wars, and that is why He knows about each and every battle by heart, and he does not think that any battle which has been fought in Europe is equal or is near to Marston Moore's, in which he gives the description of that battle daily in the Trumpet Club, and he particularly mentions that he has been knocked off from his horse at the rising of the London apprentices, and for which he has been highly regarded. दूसरे दूसरे जो मेंबर थे ट्रम्पेट क्लब के, वो थे मेजर मैचलॉग ने सिविल वॉर में सर्व किया था, और सारी की सारी जो बैटल थी उनको मुंह ज़बानी याद थी। वो कहते थे कि यूरोप में कोई भी ऐसी जंग नहीं है जो मास्टन मूर के करीब आ जाए। वो मास्टन मूर की जंग को इतनी ज़्यादा तवज्जो देते थे, और वो कहते थे कि उन्होंने भी उस जंग में हिस्सा लिया था, और हिस्सा लेने में उनको चोट भी आई थी। उन्हें घोड़े से वो गिर गए थे उस जंग में एट द राइजिंग ऑफ द लंदन अप्रेंटिसेस। इसीलिए वो लोग सारे लोग उनकी बहुत इज्जत किया करते थे। Honest old Dick Reptile is the third of our society. He is a good-natured, indolent man who speaks little himself, but laughs at our jokes and brings his young nephew along with him, a youth of 18 years old, to show him good company and give him a test of the world. This young fellow sits generally silent, but whenever he opens his mouth or laughs at anything that passes, he is constantly told by his uncle, after a jocular manner, Jack, you young men think us fools, but we old men know you are. Now the writer tells us about the third member of the Trumpet Club, that is Honest Dick Old Reptile, who is reserved by nature and is quite indolent. And most of the time, he does not pass any kind of comment, simply laughs while listening the story. And he comes along with his nephew, who was 18 years old, whose name was Jack. And whenever the young man finds anything interesting, he laughs. So he is told by his uncle that most of the youngsters think that the old fellow did not have any kind of brain, but they know who have got the brain. They are old, but they have brain and they enjoy the thing very much. अब तीसरे व्यक्ति के बारे में जो बताते हैं रिचर्ड स्टील, वो है डिक रेप्टाइल। वो बड़े रिजर्व नेचर के थे, और वो ज़्यादा बात नहीं करते थे। सिर्फ जब भी कोई मज़ेदार बातें होती तो सिर्फ सुनते तवज्जो से बातों को और मुस्कुराते। और वो अपने 18 साल के नेफ्यू के साथ भी वो अकेले नहीं आते, अपने साथ 18 साल का जो एक नेफ्यू था उसको अपने साथ लेके आते। अब बेचारा ये जो यंग फेलो होता, जब कोई मज़ेदार बातें सुनता तो उसको हंसी आती और वो हंसता मुस्कुराता। तो अचानक तुरंत उसके अंकल उसे कहते मजाकिया तौर पे, देखो जैक, तुम्हें क्या लगता है कि तुम लोग ये समझते हैं कि हम बूढ़े लोगों को अकल ही नहीं होती है, देख लो और तुम्हें समझ में आ जाएगा कि किसे अकल होती है। The greatest wit of a company, next to myself, is a bencher of the neighboring inn, who in his youth frequented the ordinaries about Charing Cross and pretends to have been intimate with Jack Ogle. He has been 10 disech of Hudibras without book and never leaves the club till he has applied them all. If any modern wit be mentioned, or any town frolic spoken of, he shakes his head at the dullness of the present age and tells us a story of Jack Ogle. Another intellectual person in the company, apart from the writer, is the bencher. and he has been frequented to the to the cafe to the co- to the cafe houses. He has been frequented to the cafe. He has been frequented to the coffee houses of the Charing Cross. It is a famous place in London where there has been many coffee houses. So he has been to that. He has been to those coffee houses quite frequently, and he makes the pretension that he knows Jack Ogle quite well. Jack Ogle, Jack Ogle is a gamester, notorious gamester, and he has the habit that he always quotes from Hudibras, and daily he quotes 10 canto from the book of Hudibras. And even when anybody mentions anything frolic or anything related in the society which they find quite witty, so he at once rejects them and says that, then starts telling the story of Jack Ogle. उसके बाद बताते हैं कि उनसे ज्यादा कोई अगर ज्यादा इंटेलेक्चुअल था, उनके अगर उनके बाद कोई ज्यादा इंटेलेक्चुअल था उनकी कंपनी में, तो थे बेंचर लॉयर, जो अक्सर चारिंग क्लब के कॉफी हाउस में जाया करते थे और ऐसा दिखाते थे जैसे कि जैक ओगल से उनकी बहुत अच्छी पहचान है, बहुत क्लोज है जैक ओगल के, नटोरियस गेमस्टर है ये। और उनकी एक आदत थी, हुडी ब्रास जो फेमस वर्क है, तो वो ऐसा दिखाते थे जैसे और हमेशा, और उसमें से हुडी ब्रास में से उस बुक में से बराबर वो कम से कम 10 से 15 लाइन बराबर वहां से कोट करते, वो कपलेट बराबर कोट करते और कोट करे बगैर रहते नहीं। और अगर कोई उन्हें कहता, कोई भी दूसरा वाक्य बताता शहर में जो हो रहा है या और कोई घटनाओं के बारे में बताता, तो उसे तुरंत रिजेक्ट कर देते और फिर कहानी बताना शुरू करते कि जैक ओगल की जो स्टोरी बताना शुरू कर देते और कहते कि बाकी तुम्हारी चीजें बकवास है। For my own part, I am esteemed among them because they see I am something respected by others, though at the same time I understand by their behavior that I am considered by them as a man of a great deal of learning but no knowledge of the world. As far as the personality of the writer is concerned, he says that the other members of his company keep him in high regard and give him a lot of respect, but they think he is a man of learning, not a man of world. In short, they want to say that he does not have worldly wisdom. He is only a man of learning. उसके बाद राइटर बताते हैं अपने बारे में कि वो उनके 5वें मेंबर थे। वो कहते थे बाकी सारे जो क्लब के मेंबर तो मेरी बहुत इज्जत करते, लेकिन मैं उनके बिहेवियर से समझ जाता कि वो सिर्फ मुझे मानते कि ये सिर्फ विद्वान है, इसे दुनियादारी के बारे में कुछ भी नहीं समझता है। In so much that the major sometimes in the height of his military pride calls me the philosopher. And Sir Geoffrey, no longer ago than last night upon a dispute what day of the month it was then in Holland, pulled his pipe out of his mouth and cried, "What does the scholar say to it?" He says that the Major Matchlock, often calls him a philosopher, and Sir Geoffrey Notch. He relates the incident which happened with him the previous night when they were discussing about which month was there in Holland. So Geoffrey Notch came to the conclusion that they were going to take the advice, they were going to take the last word from the scholar, and he asked him what the opinion of the scholar was. उसके बाद वो बताते हैं कि मेजर मैचलॉक जो थे वो इन्हें फिलोसोफर ही कहते थे, और सर जेफरी नॉच, पिछले रात की बात ही है कि जब डिस्कशन चल रहा था कि हॉलैंड में इस वक्त कौन सा महीना होगा, तो उन्होंने कह दिया कि सिर्फ ये स्कॉलर ही बता सकते हैं कौन सा महीना होगा. A club meets precisely at 6 o'clock in the evening, but I did not come last night until half an hour after 7, by which means I escaped the battle of Nesby, which the major usually begins at about 3/4 after 6. Then the writer tells us about that it is the routine that they meet at the Trumpet Club often at 6 o'clock in the evening. But the previous night he got late and he reached there at 7:30. It means he had already missed the Battle of Nesby, which was narrated by Major Matchlock. So here the writer tells us about that it is the routine of the Trumpet Club that all the members assemble at the Trumpet Club at 6 o'clock. But due to some work, he got late and he reached there only after 7:30, and that is why he missed the account given by Major Matlock of Nesby. अब राइटर बताते हैं कि सारे लोग ट्रम्पेट क्लब में शाम में 6 बजे मिलते थे, लेकिन पिछली रात कुछ कारणों से मुझे देर हो गई और मैं 7:30 के बाद ही वहां पहुंचा. इसका मतलब हुआ कि मैंने नेस्बाय, जो मेजर मैटलॉक जिस वॉर के बारे में बताते हैं, वो मैंने मिस कर दिया. I found also that my good friend the bencher had already spent 3 of his dissect and only waiting an opportunity to hear a sermon spoken of, that he might introduce the couplet where a stick rhymes to ecclesiastic. And when the writer reached there at 7:30, he came to know that the bencher had already spoken 3 couplets and would also look for an appropriate opportunity to add some more couplets. राइटर कहता है कि जब मैं वहां पे 7:30 के बाद पहुंचा तो बेंचर ने तब तक तो 3 कपलेट बोल ही दिया हुआ हुडीब्रास से, और उसके बाद इंतजार कर रहा हूँ और बाकी बची भी अगर मौका मिले तो और कह दे. At my entrance into the room, they were naming a red petticoat, and a cloak, by which I found that the bencher had been diverting them with a story of Jack Ogle. As soon as the writer entered, he found that they were discussing about a red petticoat and a cloak, which at once the writer understood that the bencher was trying to start the story with a Jack Ogle. जब राइटर वहां पहुंचता है तो राइटर सुनता है कि वो रेड पेटीकोट और क्लोक के बारे में बात कर रहे थे. राइटर को समझ में आ गया कि बेंचर मौका देख रहा है जिससे कि जैक ओगल की स्टोरी वो शुरू कर सके। I had no sooner taken my seat, but Sir Geoffrey, to show his goodwill towards me, gave me a pipe of his own tobacco and stirred up the fire. I looked upon it as a point of morality to be obliged by those who endeavour to oblige me, and therefore, in requital for his kindness, and to set the conversation going, I took the best occasion I could to put him upon telling us the story of old Gauntlet, which he always does with a particular concern. So, when he took his seat quite comfortably, he was offered a pipe by Sir Geoffrey Notch, and the writer at once understood why the favour was done upon him, because he wanted him to give him the appropriate opportunity to tell more about the old gauntlet, and he did. राइटर कहता है कि जब मैं वहां पहुंचा और मैं बैठ गया, सर जॉफरी नॉट ने मुझे टोबैको पाइप दिया। मैं समझ गया टोबैको पाइप क्यों दिया उन्होंने। वो मुझे उन्होंने मुझ पर एहसान किया ताकि मैं उन्हें बोलने का, ओल्ड गैंडलेट की कहानी बताने का मौका दूं, ताकि मैं उनसे पूछूं ओल्ड गैंडलेट के बारे में बताइए सर जॉफरी नॉच। I took the best occasion I could to put him upon telling the story of old Gauntlet, which he always does with very particular concern. He traced up his descent on both sides for several generations, describing his diet and manner of life with his several battles, and particularly that in which he fell. This Gauntlet was a gamecock upon whose head the knight in his youth had won 500 pounds and lost 2,000. This naturally set the major upon the account of Edge Hill fight and ended in a duel of Jack Ogles. When the opportunity was given to Sir Geoffrey Notch, so he started telling about the old gauntlet. He tells us about he tells us about the generation of the old gauntlet from both the sides, as well as the diet and manner and various fights which were fought by old Gauntlet. And he did mention that he bet on that Gauntlet and won 500 pounds and lost 2000 pounds. And this gave an opportunity when they start talking about betting. So, appropriately, this was certainly going to be used by the bencher who was intimate, who pretended to be intimate with Jack Ogle. So he started telling the story of Jack Ogle. उसके बाद राइटर कहता है कि मैंने मौका दिया और मौका देने के बाद सर जॉफरी नॉट ने ओल्ड गैंटलेट के बारे में बताना शुरू किया। फेमस कॉक था जो कॉक फाइटिंग में हिस्सा लेता था, उसके बारे में बताया कि वो कहाँ से लाया था, मैंने उसकी कौन सी नस्ल से आया था, वो कैसा खाना खाता था, किस तरीके से उन्हें जंग कितनी उनने फाइट लड़ा और कैसा हारा। या खासकर ये बताता ही था वो कि मैंने उस पर 500 पाउंड्स जीता और 2000 पाउंड्स उस पर हारा। जैसे ये बैटिंग की बात शुरू होती तो मेजर जो थे हमारे मेजर काफ़ी खुश हो जाते और मेजर मैचलॉक खुश हो जाते और खुश होने के बाद फिर वो भी स्टोरी बताना शुरू करते और ख़त्म होता जैक ओगल की स्टोरी पर। Old Reptile was extremely attentive to all that was said, though it was the time he had heard every night. It was the same he had heard every night for these 20 years, and upon all occasions winked upon his nephew to mind what was to upon his nephew to mind what passed. As I have told you that Dick, old reptile, was quite reserved by nature. So he did not speak a lot. He just sat comfortably and listened with rapt attention what was told. And when it was funny, he laughed and he listened the story quite attentively, though the story was repeated for the last 24 years. But the same story was repeated for the last 20 years, but still he gave his rapt attention. He gave his ears with here. He listened those story with rapt attention, though the story was same for the last 20 years. Then blinked at his nephew to listen and try to understand and get some kind of some lesson from it. अब जो ओल्ड रेप्टाइल डिक के बारे में बताते हैं वो कि वो बड़े ही गौर से कहानी सुनता, जल के 20 सालों से वही कहानी दोहराई जा रही थी, वही बातें बताई जा रही थी, फिर भी बड़े ध्यानपूर्वक सुनता और उसके बाद अपने अपने नाती से नेफ्यू से कहता कि सुनो, ध्यान दो बराबर इस पर।